What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the Heat Report, and we're back, baby. It's opening night tomorrow. The Miami Heat play the Orlando Magic in Orlando, the first game of the season for the Miami Heat and for the Orlando Magic. I'm going to be giving you guys my preview, but before we get into it, make sure you guys please like and subscribe and comment down below what your score prediction is going to be. I want you guys to tell me who's going to win the game and by how much, or just a simple score prediction, because I'll be giving my prediction at the end of the video. Before we actually even get into the Orlando Magic versus the Miami Heat preview, I want to address this, James Harden situation, because if you guys don't know by now, we are officially out of the James Harden sweepstakes, I think, because the reports came out that the Heat are no longer interested in trading for James Harden. And when that came out, I kind of had mixed feelings about it. Similar to how I had mixed feelings about it when he put the Heat on his list of teams he wanted to be traded to, and we expressed interest in him as well. So I was kind of like, I don't really want him to go to a team that's gonna, because like the Nets, the Sixers, the Raptors, the Celtics, because they're gonna be super teams. But then I just saw what the Rockets were asking for, and wait till you guys hear this, because boy, it was wild. So according to Ira Winderman, who is actually like a Heat beat writer, he's very credible. He does all the interviews with the Heat players and the coaching staff and all, writes articles about the Miami Heat. So yeah, he's a very credible source, very close to the Miami Heat. According to him, the Houston Rockets wanted Bam, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson. And when I saw that, I was like, man, I'm surprised they didn't ask for Jimmy Butler, because just take our whole team, bro. Just take our whole team for one player. Like, that doesn't even make sense. I'm so glad that we didn't do that, because I don't know what the Rockets are tripping on, because apparently it came out that they wanted Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and from the Nuggets, and they wanted Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, 2 picks. They're wild. The Rockets are wild. They're tripping heavy, because we're definitely not giving them Bam, Tyler, and Duncan. I don't know what they're asking for. I'm glad that we didn't do this trade, and I actually think the Rockets are gonna probably have they're gonna end up having to keep Harden until the trade deadline, because their asking price is a lot, and I don't think teams are gonna be willing to give up that much for James Harden, who's a question mark because of his attitude and his and just his demeanor off the court right now. But and don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal player, but he does bring a lot with him. There's a big question mark over his head, because I already explained this in the James Harden video that I did before, but we saw that teammates who were brought in to be his co-stars had gone after the first or second year. So that is a question mark on him. Is he the guy who's the problem, or his off the court attitude, going to strip clubs and all that stuff? There's a big question mark over his head, and I'm glad Pat Riley didn't do that, because that would have been wild to trade Bam, Tyler, and Duncan, and probably a couple picks too for James Harden. So just wanted to get that out of my chest, and get that out to you, because that was breaking, and apparently I just got the notification that James Harden was throwing basketballs at the rookies, and he was very I don't know, he was He was just he had an attitude in training, but nevertheless, he's probably not going to be a player that we're going to be trading for anytime soon. So we'll move on from that. Now, let's move on to the Orlando Magic versus the Miami Heat preview, and we'll start off with the injury report. So for the Heat, Gabe Vincent is questionable. Spoelstra said that he went through contact practice, so it's questionable whether he'll play or not. I don't think he was going to get big time minutes anyway. He is one of our two-way players, if you guys weren't aware. Max Struss is officially made two-way, and so is Gabe Vincent. So they're both our two-way players. And apart from Gabe Vincent, everyone else is back healthy. Jimmy's healthy. Kendrick Nunn and Avery Bradley are fine. So it's just Gabe Vincent for the Heat. For the Magic, James Ennis is out, Mo Bamba's out, Jonathan Isaac, as we know, is out. Shout out to Jonathan Isaac for securing that bag, that $80 million contract extension that he signed yesterday. And Al-Farouq Aminu is also out. So this is going to be a big loss, or all these are going to be big losses for the Magic, because all of these guys have one thing in common, and that's that they play elite defense. And we're going to get into the stats, but one of the spoilers is that the Orlando Magic were 8th in opponents' point per game last year, which is very good. They were a top 10 defense, and losing Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba, James Ennis, and Al-Farouq Aminu is probably not going to make their defense that great, or well, not that great, but not as good as it could have been. Because I don't know. Maybe they have some defensive guys. I know Chuma Okeke is a guy that didn't even play last year, but he looked pretty good in preseason. So, those are big losses for the Magic. And just taking on their defense, they were very good in limiting the fast break opportunities for opposing teams. 3rd in opponent fast break points, which is very good. So they definitely laid their hat on their defensive end. On offense, they are 24th in points per game, which is not great, and 27th in effective field goal percentage, which is not great as well. So offensively, they're not really that big of a threat as compared to the other teams in the league, but they do turn the ball over very little. They don't turn the ball over at all. So very disciplined with the ball. They just don't really have that offensive firepower. But defensively, they're always going to be great. It's just going to be interesting to see how much their defense, falters from the losses that they have in tomorrow's game with the amount of injuries that I said. My projected starting lineup for the Magic would probably be Markelle Fultz will probably start at the 1. Then they'll probably have Evan Fournier. I know a lot of Magic fans wanted Cole Anthony to start, but I don't think Steve Clifford's going to start Cole Anthony. I think he's going to start Evan Fournier, Dwayne Bacon, Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Vucevic. Now, obviously, the shooting will probably come from Evan Fournier, Dwayne Bacon, and maybe even Aaron Gordon. Vucevic can also shoot the 3. Fultz is going to be a guy that's going to drive into the lane, play some nice defense. Bacon is going to be a 3-and-D guy. Gordon is kind of like a Swiss Army knife, and Vucevic, we all know how good he can be. So, Vucevic is a player that has consistently, historically, given the Heat some problems. He's always played well against us. Last year, I thought Bam did a pretty good job on him, but this year it's going to be very interesting, which is why my marquee matchup is Bam versus Vucevic, because both of these guys are definitely top 10 centers. I think Bam is definitely better, but Vucevic is very underrated. He's definitely a top 7 big man in the NBA. Top 7 center, I should say, not big man. And he can put the ball in the basket, 3-level scorer, can finish at the rim, can shoot the mid-range, and definitely shoot the 3. Defensively, he's not as great, but he's going to be a handful to guard offensively, and Bam's going to have to, do a pretty good job on Vucevic, because if you take him out of the game, that's half the job done, because the Magic don't really have that much firepower after him. So Bam versus Vucevic is definitely going to be my marquee matchup. It's going to be interesting to see how the Magic, their bench is, because obviously they added guys like Cole Anthony. DJ Augustine is gone for them, and he was, a big part of what they did last year. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, because they're always a team that is at that 8-9 seed, not really championship contending, but they're a team that's always in the mix for the playoffs. But apart from guys like Cole Anthony, they do have, very, very good bench player in Terrence Ross. And Terrence Ross is a guy that last year gave us 30 points in Miami. He was very, very good for the Magic. I know we won that game. We won that by 4 because Duncan Robinson was killing the Magic. But Terrence Ross had 30 points in that game. And off the bench, he's a guy that can just get hot. He's like a torch. So Terrence Ross, we're going to have to stop. Whoever gets the assignment off the bench, I expect it to be Avery Bradley, because I don't think Avery Bradley is going to start. Whoever gets the assignment of Terrence Ross is going to have to do well on him. So I think Terrence Ross and Vucevic, if we stop those two or at least contain them, I think we'll be in pretty good shape, because the Magic don't really have that much after that. Aaron Gordon is okay, but he's not a guy that's going to take you out of the game. Same with Evan Fournier and Markelle Fultz. It's going to be interesting to see how Fultz, does after he got his bag as well. He got the extension, $50 million. Shout out to him. But I think if we take away Vucevic and Ross's contributions, we'll be in pretty good shape for this game. So the player that I have to look out for the Miami Heat is KZ Okpala, because KZ Okpala, as we all know, did very well in the second preseason game against the Toronto Raptors. But it's going to be interesting to see if Spoelstra starts him at the 4 or if he uses him off the bench and how much he uses him. Because I'm advocating for him to start at the 4 after what I saw from him. But they might not rush him into that as much. I think they'll probably start Mo Harkless at the 4. But I'm interested to see how KZ does, because KZ is a guy that wasn't even in our rotation last year, but this year is probably going to be in our rotation for sure. And I mean, he's going to be unleashed this year. I mean, Spoelstra already said that he's going to be, playing KZ a lot more than he did last year for sure. So my prediction for the game is that I have the Miami Heat winning in a pretty close game, 5-10. I have them winning by at least 5 to 10 points. 5 to 10 points is probably what it's going to be like, because the Orlando Magic, like I said, it's not a team that you're going to be blowing out the gym, running out the gym, because they're a very defensive team, kind of like the Pacers, who they just grind on the defensive end. But yeah, I have them winning in a pretty close game by 5 or 10 points. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you guys think is going to win, by how much? If you have any score predictions. I don't really have any score predictions because I'm not really sure. Like, it's pretty hard for me to gauge. But I have us winning in like a pretty close encounter. 5 to 10 points would probably be the gap if I had to predict. And that's probably going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I will be doing a review after the game comes out, and also we'll be doing a preview for the Christmas Day game against the New Orleans Pelicans. But very, very excited because the season is starting today. Well, for the NBA, it started today. For us, it's starting tomorrow. And yeah, just let me know down in the comments what your score predictions are and anything else that you guys want to see from me in the future. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.